Okay, Claiborne County Sports Zone is at Claiborne High School for the Coach Lee Show. They faced a very, very good Dobyns-Bennett team. Scoreboard ran 77-7, but at times, especially early, you moved the ball. Probably some missed tackles cost you a lot of them points. What's your feeling about the game, Coach?
Yeah, kids had a pretty decent mindset going into it. We were going to go execute, focus on each play. Offensively, first quarter we were driving the ball really well. I mean, we probably had close to 80 total yards in the first quarter alone, and special teams errors got us tackling. Like I said, that's another big thing. And defensive alignment, that was very aggravating because it doesn't matter if you start or not. If you get in the game, like alignment was nothing different. I mean, we'd seen 12 personnel teams before, but they that was a little aggravating. But other than that, they were a good football team. We talk about good teams take advantage of like misalignments, things like that. Like they're going to execute, and they did. I mean, it's few and far between when they don't execute. So they were a solid football team.
What'd you think about your defense and how they performed?
Yeah, we were frustrated. Everybody was. It didn't matter. We were a couple bright spots towards the end of the game. We've got a young kid named Darian. He's high motor. I mean, it's one of those things you can't really teach that well. But like every time he got in the game, he was doing a good job trying to make a tackle, fighting off blocks. Not the biggest kid, but he gives good effort. He's a freshman. But no, there was some of the upper class, and we were really frustrated with the way they were playing. Because Dobyns-Bennett, they are a good football team, but we did nothing to help ourselves out. We know we got to keep contained at defensive end, and every time they got the ball, it was about one or two plays outside they go. So it was just from frustration. I know Coach West was aggravated, Coach Jake was aggravated, Coach Preacher was aggravated, but it's they see the giant stadium, Dobyns-Bennett, the 5,000 seats or whatever. The lights are the same bright, they may be LED, but it's the same lights that we play with up here. So it's just it was aggravating, but one thing led to another, and kids thought different of the game, but it's all right. We got to put it past us, and we're rolling forward.
Okay, you had to walk a fine line between competing hard in a game you're probably not going to win, or coming out healthy and not compete as hard.
Yeah.
Talk about that fine line.
Yeah, we in a game like that, you don't want anybody to get hurt, and they were very physical. They hit Chris Ford on his backside post or backside slant he ran. I mean, it was a pretty malicious hit, but they do that. They play 100%. Kids are strong. But yeah, we kind of started pulling kids pretty quickly once we've seen the game's getting out of hand. We've seen some good stuff from the starters for a little bit. Our special teams was not. It was awful. But we started pulling some kids out, letting some other young kids get some reps in there. Because you don't play in a stadium like that all the time. And we never really see anything like that. But it was good to get them some reps. But yeah, we tried to walk out of there as healthy as possible because we had a big region game coming up this week, and we knew that. So it was we're trying to plan ahead just a little bit.
Well, you have to give them credit too because they went to their bench heavy.
They did.
But they still had some good athletes on that bench.
They did. Yeah, they kept telling me they had a plan, and I guess the plan was varsity first quarter, second quarter is JV, and it must have been freshman team or the middle school at the last two quarters. I don't know, but yeah, they tried to take care of us, but they were competitive.
And it was a good moneymaker for the school. Will that part of it help your program?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of financials, will help a lot. Where I can't really say we're starving for money at the moment, but it gets all put back in these kids. So it's going to be, buy equipment, helmets, uniforms, stuff like that.
That's good. Okay, you've got Unicoi coming up this Friday. It's homecoming. What's your feelings about Unicoi?
Yeah, we've had
another good football team.
Another good football team. It's between them and Gallup Pittman, they're sitting at the top of the conference. But they're a good football program. Coach Rice out there has done a really good job. They got a really phenomenal quarterback. He's great mechanics. I mean, you watch him on film. He's perfected his craft, you could say. but yeah, they're a good football program. Great team. You know, them and GP was like 21-20, I think. You know, Gallup Pittman barely edged them out, but no, they're a good football team. We've had good practice this week too. You know, I think we've got a good game plan going into it. You know, it's taken a little while to kind of see where kids work best. You know, we're trying to play to their strengths as much as possible. I think we've got the right kids in the right positions. You know, Stan McDaniel has done a really good job playing defensive end for us, and who would have thought, you know, a 320-pound kid can run pretty well, but he always told us he was deceptively fast, and we never took him up on it, but he does a good job. It's hard to kick somebody when, you know, they're that big and when they can keep the outside contained. But I think we've had a good week of practice. I'm excited to see how we compete on Friday.
What do they like to do offensively? Are they a balanced team?
Yeah, they're balanced. You know, you think they got a really good quarterback, like they're going to spread you out, throw the ball everywhere. No, they've got if you line the box up on them, they're gonna slice and dice you inside the box. Got a really fast running back. Really got a couple good running backs. I mean, they get a step. There's probably very few players on our team that could probably get to him. You know, you think Caden Williams is one. You know, he's got to play some more on the defensive side of the ball, but like we're going to try and keep it inside the box and you know, keep the top on the defense for as much as possible.
Okay, what do they like doing defensively?
Defensively, they run some pretty good stunt packages, some blitzes. They try to confuse the line a little bit. They rotate heavy, so typically if you get a team that runs trips and like a tight end or even like a split receiver, they call it bumping. So like they'll bump their linebackers out to help, you know, cover that way. They don't do that. They rotate safeties and everything, and they'll leave one-on-one on the backside. So you know, we've seen that. We like that with some people, you know, like fish.
Yeah.
We like those things. But you know, they may play it a different way. We prepared for both. But you know, if they're going to play heavy like that and keep the box the way it is, you know, that's pretty much going to be like 3-on-3 with a safety over the middle and that one guy on the back. You know, it's favorable numbers, and we see gaps. The kids understand it. You know, this morning, you know, 8 a.m. practices, first thing off the jump, I was like, all right, guys, so what do you like out of this? Like, tell me what you like. So the kids kind of, you know, bouncing ideas back and forth, and they've done a really good job. And I think, you know, knowledge-wise, we're there. It's just execution.
Yeah, and getting a better team to play.
Yeah.
You've had the toughest schedule, I think, ever in the history of Claiborne High School.
It's been fun.
Talk about that schedule. I mean, it's been a beast.
It has, you know. We knew coming into it. You know, I seen Happy Valley last year. They were a solid football team. You know, they've got, I think, 38 kids on their team and probably like 15 seniors, which is, you know, not, you know, common. But, you know, they're a really good football team. Execute well. I mean, they're well coached. Volunteers having you know, one of those. You schedule them on the schedule, thinking, you know, it should be a competitive game, and like they had the best season they've ever had. And, you know, Coach Wagner's doing a really good job out there. You know, Granger got to jump on us this year. Wish we could get them later in the year. You know, fix some of our miscues at the time, but, you know, we'll just have to get on it quicker in the off season. But yeah, I mean, 2 games we could have had. You know, Johnson County, Chucky Duck. We should have won those football games. Those were ours to lose, and we lost them. You know, that's just miscues and errors, bad execution. Gallenberg Pittman week, you know, they're a phenomenal team too. You know, they're extremely well coached as well. But they, you know, we come into it, you know, they were a good football team, but like we didn't play, you know, near as well as we could have. And yeah, it's a mindset the kids have to understand. You know, like it doesn't matter who it is we're going to play. So,
what's the tail end of the season looking like to you, and what are the chances of competitive games from here on out?
Yeah, I think I think we've gotten to the point where we expect, you know, the kids expect competition. Like we're going to go out and compete regardless. You know, we got the Dobyns-Bennett game behind us. You know, like I think the first drive or 2 on offense, the offensive line come over and they were like, they're not, you know, as crazy as we thought they are. I was like, well, you guys are a good football team when you play, you know.
Yes, they are.
When you do it the right way. And, you know, they blocked pretty well. You know, we had Maple, Noah Ott wasn't able to play, come down with a sickness. So Trey Davis come in at guard and done a phenomenal job. I thought he done awesome. That was the best game he's ever played. But yeah, we see competing for the next 3 games. You know, we got like none of them's a guaranteed win, obviously. But you know, We're not.
That was not a slide on your
no,
team at all. That was just we know the competition level.
Competition levels, was here, and it's kind of coming down just a little bit.
Sky high, yeah.
Which we've told the kids, like if you play a team up here, once you come down, to your level, like we have competition, like ability,
you learn a lot.
You learn a lot, and it's a little bit different when you're playing a Dobyns-Bennett 6'3", 250 defensive end that can move like Caden Williams. But things get a little. The game slows down just a little bit. I think you're seeing juniors turn into seniors and seniors or sophomores turn into juniors like before your eyes. They're already maturing like crazy. Like Colton Brewer plays like a junior out there. He's a freshman, but he's stepped up huge for us.
He has at times.
He has, but he's still learning the game. It's slowing. At first, it's like flying parts. You don't know where to hang on at. But he's done a good job. We're excited to see our kids uplift their competition level. Like you can't just because you play a bad team mean you can't play like a bad team. You got to keep the high level execution all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be. I think next 3 weeks we're excited to compete.
What do you want to see out of your team Friday?
I don't want to see any. As a coach, you don't want to see any miscues or anything like that, or any mishaps. But they happen. It's part of it. Football is just like life. Something bad's bound to happen. How do you respond? And I don't want my kids to. None of the coaches want our kids.
Move on.
Yeah, like a baby duck. Every day's a new day. You just wake up and just keep going at it, and just play each play the best of your ability and be.
I don't know how I got a baby duck reference out of you,
but it's just it is what it is. Like we want the kids to execute at a high level, and it's they're understanding their jobs a lot better, and we're excited. Every week we've gotten better, I believe. Last week was last week. We kind of everybody knew we didn't talk about it all year, so when the week came. We didn't really game plan much. We just we're gonna go execute what we do. That's it. And this week's we shifted gears back a little bit. And kids have responded well.
But the best thing out of facing that team was you come out pretty healthy.
Yep.
That's key.
Yes.
Okay. You of all people know what it is to play a homecoming game. Mm-hmm. Is that a struggle in itself?
You get homecoming and senior night on one night. It's there's a lot of distractions. But the kids have with it being fall break as well. It's just like stacking up on top of each other. It's you get a double whammy. But it's we're getting there. We're getting through the week good. Kids are focused. They we practice. We've done early morning practices, so they seem to enjoy that, even though you're freezing to death half the time. And then now they want to go tomorrow night. They want to have a night practice, so we're gonna go 7 to 8:30. So we'll turn the lights on, play some music, have some fun with it, but still stay focused. But that's the big thing is just staying focused throughout the whole this whole week into Friday night. No matter what happens, just stay focused.
You told me a story about what time they wanted to practice. Tell that story on the air.
Yeah, we going into fall break, you think kids want to stay in and sleep. I'm the same way. Coach West, he don't wake up till 11 a.m. every day. At noon, he's that's just how he is. He needs his beauty sleep. But the kids decided, going into the week that we were going to do 8 a.m. practices, and I was like, okay, so we go 8 to 10:30 or 8 to 10, and. We got dual classes still going on at Walter State, and some of the kids couldn't make it to practice. So I was like, "What? You can't let the kids decide much because when they do, chaos happens." But they were like, "Let's go at 5 a.m." I was like, "No, you ain't gonna get me here at 5 a.m." And Coach West was like, "I'll have to stay up all night just so I'd make it." But no, they were like, one of the kids, I can't remember who said, they're like, "All right, guys, let's be reasonable for a moment. Let's sit back," because they just got excited at the idea of waking up at 5 a.m. And because they knew it was going to be cold all week, so they wanted to get up here early. They started a little bit slow on Tuesday, but we got back into the groove of it. But yeah, they're all over the place. But I love it. Give them a little bit of ownership in their schedule, and in their offense and defense and everything. You watch them run wild. So that's what we got to experience.
All right, what do you expect your team to do for the rest of the season?
I expect them to go have fun, go play football, execute at a high level. I want to see them from where you go back and watch week 1 compared to where we are now. We're a completely different program, completely different team. These kids are fighting for each other, executing well, communicating well. that's just, that's something as a coach you hate to think, if we go back to where we are now and just, see how the season would have played out. But, you got to have those growing pains. You got to see where your shortfalls are. That way you can correct them.
Yeah, to your credit, the coaching staff has done wonderful switching people around to get their strengths in the right place.
Yeah, we don't shy away from, anybody. Like if we want to see something up, even if a kid approaches, because I don't even think we talked about Stanton McDaniel until he came up to us like, I'll do a pretty good job, and Coach Pritchard threw him in there, and we were like, golly, he's doing a heck of a job. So we're like, all right, but yeah, none of the coaches, we don't shy away from playing anybody. If you're gonna give us 100% and do your job, I don't care if you're 5'2" or 6'5", it doesn't matter. So.
And the key to this is your players want to win and they want to do the best. I've seen. Take Noah Burke for the quarterback. He didn't have to do what he did, and he said, as far as winning goes, let's put him in because he's probably a little better than me. Yeah. And you have to admire that.
Absolutely. He's probably one of the most competitive kids you'll meet, and he wants to win. Like they want to win just as bad as they want to breathe, and that's all we can ask. Like it takes 11 guys all doing the same job at the same time, doing it at a high level, trusting each other. And, we at the beginning of the year, we weren't really trusting each other as much as we should have to where we are now. Like Braxton Stubblefield, he'll trust, the defensive ends to do their job. He's going to do his job. Like, you can't do everything on the field at once. And, once there's 11 other guys doing their job against you, it's you have to stay disciplined. Have to.
What are you going to do to get, and this sounds bad, but it's not, what are you going to do to limit Owen Stone's tackles?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. He's had a lot of tackles this year.
It's designed for him not to do this.
Yeah,
but he's always there.
He is. It's like week one. It was a combination of we weren't keeping contained. Like, and if you don't keep contained on a buck sweep team, it makes it very hard for your linebackers to make any play. So we had guys going in a block, getting reached, and they pretty much just pin and pulled us. And Allen was thankfully there. But he's had to bounce around a little bit too. So he's probably gonna end up playing a little bit more corner the rest of the year. So he may not make near as many tackles there, but he's also a very good cover kid. So
I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, I mean he may find himself tackling the screen or tackling like your running back breaks it wide open, goes off the sideline, and there's Owen Stone. So he's had some struggles this year, but we anticipate him keep continuing to get better. Just keep continuing to get better.
He has nothing to look down on.
No,
he's played phenomenal.
Exactly.
What's a player that come in on your offense and did a likewise job?
Well, I mean, execution's not been where we wanted it, all year. Just about it, like our main unit on the offensive line, plus like Trey and Maple interchangeable. Eli Keck is just the offensive line. Like he
gives you his all.
He does. He gives everything he's got. And if you watch back on film, he may not be the biggest kid on the field, but him across the board with all the other linemen, they all communicate well. Can't be more proud of that unit as a whole. Yeah. Aiden Rock runs as hard as he can. Bless his heart, he's a little bit too impatient at times. Probably that's 80% of the times. But if he can get you 4 yards to carry, like you want. But yeah, I'd say him. But between the offensive line,
he does exactly what a running back does. He north south.
Yeah, we always say that he's got a magnet for contact though, because he
does.
He can have a wide open touchdown and go hit somebody on the sideline just because they're in his way. But they're not in his way. He gets them in the way. But no, him on top of Hadden Caven Lovin. Had he not come back, this year would look a little bit different. But he's come in and done a phenomenal job. We were kind of timid with him at first. We're starting to set him loose. Like he's running around in practice, showing us what he can do. So we're going to play to his strength this week. But him just as a player, as a team leader, like not even as a quarterback, just like him coming in has just revitalized the kids, gave them something to look forward to. They protect, the offensive line protects him with the best of their ability because they know, they know his situation. But he didn't have to come back. He could have easily accepted surgery, just went and done, prepared for the future. But he loves football, loves his team, loves his brothers, and it makes a difference.
What about Hall?
Oh yeah,
he's been a pleasant surprise.
He has. Wyatt Hall's done a really good job. We're still missing him right now. His kneecap went out again, against Galbert Pittman, but he's doing therapy. He's another 1-2 punch with Aiden Roark. You got Colton Brewer that comes in there. He's getting the weight room, but he runs hard, tackles hard. He does, as long as you play with good effort, it doesn't matter. Like the work between the growth he'll make from his freshman year to his senior year, we ain't even worried about Colton Brewer. He's gonna be great.
Okay, you mentioned senior night. How many do you have?
I think we're sitting at 11. If I get that right. Yeah. So
Good
it's
class.
and what sucks is it's 11 good kids. So it's some of these younger kids are gonna have to step up next year. But they've got good leaders in front of them. Like Elijah Poor, phenomenal tackle, offensive and defensive tackle. Him on top of Eli Keck, those boys will do anything. They'll help these young kids out. We've got a good senior group, and you wish more for them. Like scheduling wise, it is what it is. But they've played good football this year, and I know the scoreboard don't reckon it doesn't correlate, but they've really fought hard this year. And it's life isn't always easy to you, but they understand that, and they're just gonna come out and keep fighting. There was no quitting these kids all year.
Are they kind of looking ahead? A couple weeks ahead,
Not necessarily. I think. You shift gears a lot during the season, and we start off the year on a high note. They were here, but Granger hit us in the mouth, and then Happy Valley volunteer hit us in the mouth, and it's just constant. Golly, can we catch a break? And when Caden come back, it was okay, now we're going back into drive. We come out against Johnson County, played good. And from that point on, it was we were taking it week to week. We're excited to go. And now we've kind of shifted to seniors have 3 games left, and we're going to make the most of each and every single one of them. Didn't matter if it was Dobyns-Bennett week 10. We were still going to go give everybody as much as we could.
Without Union County being there on the schedule, did the rivalry come back to the Gap? Has it, or it's just another game to them? How do they feel about it?
There's a little bit more to it, my kids love everybody over at the Gap. I've got
they tremendous.
Yeah, I've got brothers
on both sides.
Yeah, I've got brothers on that sideline that are coaching. They love those kids. I got family over there, but it's just another football game. It's a shorter trip, but we're excited to compete with them. But we're worried about Unicoi right now, just mainly.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Last word to you.
Come support these kids. Last home game. I know nobody's got school, so you should be able to come out. I don't care what you do all day, but this evening, come support these seniors. It's their last time stepping on the field. This field playing a game. Support them. They've poured their heart and souls into this program for 4 years. Come support them. Come. They're going to give Unicoi everything we got. We're going to fight. These young kids are going to fight for the seniors, and hopefully we're going to come out with a win.
Homecoming and everything else.
That's right.
Come out. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.